I'm just asking that it stops raining for a couple of days.
You are uniquely in a position to assess how much damage rain can do.
Apparently, according to higher-ups in the municipality here, this is the most rain that we've received since 1972 with, I believe it was Hurricane Agnes.
Oh, shit.
I was given
hurricane.
an entire, I don't know if it was a hurricane, I could be making that up.
Oh, jeez Christ.
It sounds like a hurricane.
I've been in manholes for a long time.
Right. It could be tropical storm Agnes.
Whatever Agnes was in 72 apparently dumped
Cyclone Beulah.
not as much rain as we had today. See, the last 2 days.
The funny thing about that is being a non-professional in the water arts, I thought, hey, it's been moist a couple days. It's been a wee bit rainy. Like, I haven't been all that blown away by the content of the rain. Like, it's a couple days of rain.
Did you not see any of the localized
but
flooding?
it was like pretty heavy rain. Like, didn't stop.
I'll
this is going to be.
I guess it takes more to impress me, but I haven't been on the jetties of the lake to watch all the boats piled up.
I mean, the other eye, but
but I did see my nephew's basement, and that shit was thoroughly flooded.
Yeah,
but that's low, and water goes down. So I just figured that's par for course.
You'd be happy to know that the lake, I believe, is 6 to 7 feet above where it should be.
Why would I be happy about that?
I'm just saying, I hope that you take that information and when you move forward throughout your day, you think about water and where it goes and how it's taken care of.
You've already blown my tits off with the whole since 1972 Hurricane Agnes.
Which could maybe not be true, but
yeah, I don't know. All right, so what you're saying
was
is
sent an email.
We live in a wet region that just got hyper moist.
Yes, and I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be dry, for one. I'm tired of being covered in tinkle water.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's really not fun. I am Mark Storrs. Welcome to the Cryptonaut podcast. And with me, as always, is...
I'm Chris Carnicelli.
And...
Oh, run off Johnny. Just keeping it wet, baby.
Run off Johnny.
It's been a long fucking week.
Yeah.
But whatever, we are here. We are doing the show. Thank you all so very much for joining us. Holy shit. I don't normally have a bunch of announcements in the beginning of the show, so I think that we can skip that, except for I will say hellerspace.com, Robert.
You sure as fuck will.
There is going to be some sales happening in September.
And some new designs popping up.
So keep an eye out on that.
Fucking A right.
The Patreon, thank you all so much to everyone over there that supports us. We appreciate it so very much. Robert, we have some Patreon shout-outs to do for some recent additions to our show.
I'm so excited. To begin with, the King of Lion World, Kobe Maines.
Hell yeah.
Oh, shit.
What up? Rawr. You like that? That's my salute to Lion World.
That was so ineffectual. Speaking of Lion World, I watched a movie called Savage Harvest with Tom Skerritt the other night. It's early 80s lions and tigers and all sorts of fucked up shit. African animals, probably not tigers so much, running amok. And,
okay.
Kobe.
Thank you
You'd
so
probably
very much.
like it.
Thank you so very much, Kobe. Best shout out ever.
Ryan Johnston.
Hell yeah, Ryan. Thank you.
Kevin Jubinville.
Kevin, what up? Thank you so much.
Oh, this is where my cult lives. Max Vance.
Hell yeah, Max.
Matthew Pearson.
Yeah, Matt, what up?
Jose Mendez.
Thank you, Jose.
Shonda Magpie.
Hell yeah, Shonda.
Morg Frog.
Morg Frog.
One word.
Fuck yeah.
I like it. We've all had to deal with dead frogs in like a science class at one point.
Like a Morg Frog, yo.
To me, like if there was a band, especially like in the 90s when I used to go to like 4-H Club hardcore shows and they were called Morg Frog and then maybe the t-shirt was just like a fucking dead frog splayed out in a little metal tray, I would have fucking totally been all over that.
Or he's the coroner.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah. Morg Frog.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Morg Frog PhD.
Fuck yeah.
Kyle Matthias.
Thank you, Kyle.
Ophaukis. I'm probably saying that real fucked up. Reborn. Ophaukis, according to Chris, because I didn't know what that was, is the missing astrological sign that was reindoctrinated, according maybe not officially into the pantheon of
I'm not sure
of astrology, but anyway, I didn't know any of that. I thought it was like a missing weird ass Greek, I don't know, philosopher.
Thank you for your money. We appreciate it.
Yeah, reborn.
Hell yeah, reborn.
Robert Probasco.
Hell yeah, Robert. Thank you.
Bryce Johnson.
What up, Bryce?
Ben Matthews. Matthews.
Right. What is wrong with you? I was nervous. I'm like, oh no.
Did he have a seizure?
Did he have a fucking
Ben Matthews? Thank you.
Broken out over here.
John Williams.
Hell yeah, John.
I love your work. Space Penguin Overlord is how we wrap this shit up.
Oh, shit.
And
Fuck yeah.
well done. Space Penguins are the best.
Fuck
Yeah.
yeah, they are.
Tuscumbia,
Yeah.
wherever. I mean, they're not from Tuscumbia. Missouri's a fine place to visit, but Space Penguins are from, I guess, the cosmos.
Yeah.
And they need an overlord, and you're the one. And thank you for your fucking support.
Hell yeah, thank you all
Shit.
so very much over there. Patreon.com/Cryptonaut Podcast. Be sure to check that out. This week, the Phantom Anesthetists.
All right, now we're having fun. Now we're cooking with gas. Let's just keep this in, and you try again, because I literally gave you a pronunciation fucking below.
Phantom anesthesiologists.
Is that even a fucking thing?
Yes.
We're going to try it again. The Phantom Anesthetists of Botetourt County.
There you go.
I see. I can.
Dang.
You know what? We are going to leave this in.
Yeah, this is one of
Yeah.
the hardest ones ever, because first off, anesthesiologists, whatever you said.
Yeah.
But the actual name of said Virginian county is spelled Botetourt, which I pronounced over and over again as I was writing this, Botetourt. But I was fucking wrong. So I took the time to fucking
Botetourt.
YouTube this shit.
Yeah.
And when the indigenous pop said it, it was Botetourt.
Botetourt.
Well, I said it like I'm fucking,
what the fuck?
like a Star Wars
Yeah, you're
movie.
like,
What do you have? What, you fucking Mos Eisley over here?
Yeah, no doubt. All
Fucking
right. So, Botetourt County.
Botetourt County. All right. During the first half of the 20th century, in a span of less than 2 months,
Short times.
multiple families hailing from Botetourt, Virginia, fell prey to a series of bizarre and terrifying attacks by a group of enigmatic individuals who, for reasons that remain unknown, filled their homes with noxious and, in at least one case, potentially lethal gas.
It's a douche move.
Gas.
Anesthesiologists from beyond the grave.
All right, so-
or alien something.
Because I took the time to look this up.
Okay.
An anesthesiologist is, of course, the medical doctor that is given,
Yes.
ordained with the abilities, not that they're ordained at all because
Yes.
it's science, to give the medicine.
Yes.
Anesthetists are the nurses or the associates who are trained to help maintain the painlessness, hopefully, and the
Right.
unconsciousness level in the patients. So that's the difference between an anesthesiologist and an anesthetist.
Like a nurse anesthetist.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they're officially called anesthetists.
Yes. Are just forewarning everybody out there that's in the medical field, as you listen to this, you are going to hate us and scream at your phone
Oh,
or
yeah.
whatever device.
Or anyone who lives in the South, or anybody who expects, I don't know, quality pronunciations of anything.
And information.
We want
and accuracy.
Yeah, we want you to know that you are correct.
Of course.
You have every reason to yell and send us emails. We accept that.
But we're going to still do our level fuck-sucking best.
We'll try.
To present a fine tale in a manner befitting our audience, which
All right.
means as high quality as we can do it.
Let's do it, Robert.
I'm going to start with bringing up the elephant in the room. In the same manner that the enduring enigma of Jack the Ripper haunts Great Britain to this very day, it can be argued that one of the most enthralling unsolved mysteries in the history of the United States is the identity of a shadowy character who stalked the residents of a town known as Mattoon, Illinois, infecting their homes with putrid vapor before disappearing with nary a trace.
Oh, the mad gasser of Mattoon.
Not surprisingly, Mark foreshadows, this nefarious figure came to be dubbed the Mad Gasser of Mattoon. But while this villain is far and away the most famous of its insidious ilk, he, quote unquote, because we're not really sure, was not the only, or for that matter, the first renegade anesthetist to invade American homes. Since 1944, debates have raged as to the true identity of this mysterious marauder. A debate we'll take up when we cover this incredible account, which we will. I know we promise these things, but we will. But as infamous as this series of incidents has become, less well known is the fact that another equally insidious anesthetist was seen lurking around Virginia over 10 years before the harrowing events that sent Mattoon's citizenry into a fucking tizzy. In the interest of covering as completely as possible the full saga of American Mad Gassers in chronological order, we present to you the Phantom Anesthetist of Botetourt. County.
Nice.
The first sequence of events began in the unincorporated community of Haymaker Town. Can anyone else fucking say where that?
wicked,
Yo,
dude.
Haymaker. You know that the backwoods brawling?
Dude,
you know,
it's just-
Philo Betta was beating the fuck out of people and grooming his chimp. Or no, I'm sorry. Oran Utang fucking well.
Dude, it's just fights and whiskey. It's
Fights in
fucking
Haymaker
dope.
Town.
Yeah,
What else
dude.
can you do?
Fuck yeah.
Which is nestled in a rural area of Botetourt County, Virginia, not far from the West Virginian border. On December 22nd, 1933, a man by the name of Cal Hoffman, along with his wife, 6 children, and a family friend, they bred
That's
well,
a lot of fucking kids, dude.
claimed to have been besieged by a strange attacker, the likes of which had never been encountered before, at least not in the United States. According to Huffman's testimony, at roughly 10 p.m. on the night in question, the clan's paterfamilias noticed a hulking humanoid figure malingering outside of his family's home. But before he could identify the interloper, an unidentified and evidently invisible vapor filled their house, rendering the children and Mrs. Huffman violently ill. That's a little twist.
Okay.
Perhaps not realizing the inherent dangers posed by noxious fumes, the mother, along with her children, retired for the evening.
Why the fuck would you do
I
that?
know.
What's this? This is terrible and I can't breathe. It's making me feel awful. Let's go to bed.
Let's go to bed. Nothing a down pillow and some fucking starch sheets can't
Yeah,
handle.
dude, it's not good. I live in a world of noxious vapors. When that shit burns your throat and your eyes water, get the fuck to fresh
Get
air
the fuck out.
immediately.
Yes,
Yeah.
dodge immediately.
Exactly.
Dude, if I just get a little bit of bleach and I breathe in, my eyes burn a little bit, I'm like, oh my God, I'm dead.
Yeah, no, me too.
Like I have to run outside, I have to put 10 fans on me.
Yeah.
I gargle water,
Oh, no.
pray to something.
The gods of fume. So they retired for the evening, hoping that a good night's rest might keep the nausea at bay. Meanwhile, her husband remained awake to see if the skulking figure they had spied earlier might return with even more nefarious intentions. He was not disappointed.
Ah, get that gun.
Just half an hour later, Cal noticed that his house was once again filled with the insidious fumes. While he apparently did not see what would later be christened the Phantom Anesthetist, Cal, in what might be considered a dubious maneuver, abandoned his slumbering family and wasted no time in hightailing it over to the nearest telephone, which happened to be at his landlord's house, one K.W. Henderson, whereupon he used the contraption to call the local police. And more often than not, we're going to find there's a lot of first and middle initials.
Okay.
Which is honestly the best way to be referred to. Like
Sure.
RT Morphe, come on.
All right, yeah.
Come
MR
on.
stores. I get
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
MR. Yeah, no, that's all right. Yeah.
Really? I can't be a part of your fucking first initial club? Really?
I just wish I had a better middle initial.
You can
All
sell
right.
tinctures with that name.
Oh, yeah, you're the Ungent Tincture Man.
You just go vaudeville and it'd be fucking really
MR
okay.
stores here. Who wants to buy some fucking thieves oil here? Lather yourself in peppermint, you see.
Oh, my God.
Do a
First off,
puppet show.
anyone tried to sell me
Come back
essential
later
oils
on my puppet show.
in that
The Beaver
voice,
and the Flood. Hey,
Fucking puppet show. Really?
I
Yeah,
would
dude.
buy all of your puppets and oils under those circumstances.
The puppets will be pushing the oil. Get some peppermint, you say, and fucking there you go.
There it is.
God, fucking thieves oil. Anyway, continue.
Cal and his landlord Henderson's son Ashby returned to the Huffman home where they met Officer O.D. Lemon.
God.
Oh, that's
okay.
awesome.
All right.
Yeah, I take it back. I apologize to you, Mark.
Oh, MR is awful.
MR store. No, O.D. Lemon.
I don't know. OD Lemon sounds kind of fucking
It's
cool.
kind of cool. Like if that's totally like a guy that was kicked out of the Wu-Tang Clan early.
Yeah, definitely OD
You know,
Lemon.
it sounds like a dollar store like pledge character. Like he's a character on the can.
Yeah, no, you
Talk
can get
to
the
him,
woodwork
Woody Lemon
done.
gets the stains out.
I love your hand.
I know.
OD Lemon.
O.D. Lemon was sent to the fucking scene. The lawman would be a figure who would play prominently in the bizarre series of events that would unfold over the course of the next 6+ weeks. Lemon, Ashby, and Cal maintained a vigilant watch until about midnight, when Officer Lemon was called away. As if on cue, the gasser returned, this time filling both levels of the home with his putrescent spray. In a terrifying turn of events, following this latest attack, Cal's 19-year-old daughter Alice was rendered unconscious after breathing in the evidently toxic haze and almost perished.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it sucks. requiring artificial respiration to restore her breathing. The teenager allegedly suffered a series of severe convulsions for weeks following the incident. What other lingering respiratory or neurological impairments Alice might have suffered were not chronicled, but it's not difficult to assume that her near-death experience and prolonged period of seizures resulted in some permanent damage, as her condition was later described as, quote-unquote, seriously ill.
Yeah, it's not good, dude.
No,
It's
once you
fucked
start having
up.
seizures,
No.
once you die and need a doctor to fucking resuscitate you, it's problematic. And hopefully she went on to live a full life and long, but who the fuck knows. Following this third gassing, other members of the Hoffman family, as well as Ashby Henderson, suffered intense, albeit temporary, nausea, headaches, burning eyes, and a constriction of the throat muscles. After the assault, both Cal and Ashby swore they saw a quote-unquote shadowy masculine figure scurrying away into the night, but were unable, or possibly unwilling, to take pursuit. Dr. W.N. Breckenridge was brought in by the police to help discover what kind of gas had been used to incapacitate the Hoffman family. During the course of his investigation, Dr. Breckenridge managed to rule out both tear gas and chloroform, but could not identify the true origin of the suspension. In fact, the only clue as to the culprit was, shockingly, a woman's shoe print that was discovered by Officer Lemon below the window where the gas purportedly emanated.
No, that's weird.
Just
Okay.
a single
Okay.
feminine shoe print.
Weird.
It's worth noting that similar footprints were found at some of the scenes of the Mattoon attacks of 1944, but we'll save that for another day. The second Aerosol assault by the so-called Phantom Anesthetist occurred just 2 days later on December 24th, 1933 in the nearby town of Cloverdale, which is located just 10 miles south of Haymaker Town. What we're going to discover is Botetourt is, like a lot of counties, is an essentially vertical strip.
Right.
And these accounts just keep shooting up and down and up and down. It's like a series of W's or M's depending on where it actually begins.
Right, and there's obviously a pattern of where this person is attacking people in their homes.
And for almost exclusively, it is in this one county. So it's it's kind of interesting.
Okay.
And you can definitely see where people living there would be freaked the fuck out.
Totally.
The episode began at approximately 9 p.m. on Christmas Eve, as Clarence Hall, his wife, and their 2 children returned home following a church service. Moments after they entered their home, the Hall family noticed an odd odor hovering in the air. Clarence dutifully inspected the house, returning minutes later in an obvious stupor. Mrs. Hall, who by this point was also beginning to feel the effects of the fog, wasted no time in pulling her nearly unconscious husband and presumably their children from the infected house. She almost certainly had heard about the attacks on the nearby Hoffman household and likely decided that her family was not to suffer the same fate as poor Alice. Whatever her motivation may have been, the side effects of the gas were apparently not long-lasting or severe, and she and Clarence quickly regained their bearings, though Mrs. Hall later complained of severe eye irritation for days following. That's the way it is in most of these cases, though we're going to deal with it in case by case. We're always thorough motherfuckers. But a lot of this, it is intense but passing. Some of it, not so much. The police and Dr. Breckenridge, if you recall the guy that was brought in to identify the noxious gas at the Hoffmans, again descended on the scene of this bizarre and again apparently unmotivated quote-unquote gas attack. But this time they arrived before the mist had a chance to completely dissipate. Dr. Breckenridge stated that the gas, quote, tasted sweet, end quote, and seemed to have an aftertaste of formaldehyde.
No.
I don't know how much formaldehyde this dude's licking.
Yeah,
like how he
geez.
became a pro on the taste of formaldehyde. But, sweet and formaldehyde-y. That was my favorite Friendly Sunday before they closed down.
Yeah, really. R.I.P. Friendlies. Jesus.
However, the illustrious doctor was yet again unable to definitively identify the substance. While no feminine footprints were discovered at this scene, one of the officers noted that a nail had been pulled from the window, allowing authorities to speculate that the aperture may have allowed a small tube to enter through the orifice in order to release the terrible toxin.
That was a question that I had was, how is this person pumping gas into a house? Like, you would need...
A tube?
Well,
gun?
a tube or like like a spray bottle or something, or it's. I'm thinking like weed killer when you put them in like a bottle and like you pump it up and you
squirt.
hit it with the pressure. Yeah,
But even that, now I'm no expert. I've never exterminated weeds or anything else for that.
It doesn't
matter.
hold that much.
But it seems to be very liquidy. Like I don't.
It is almost
when you do
always
that,
liquid,
it's
yeah.
aerosol water.
Yeah,
well, not
it's
even
always
aerosol.
liquid,
It's
yeah.
like a spray. It's
Yeah,
not
that's it.
gas.
Right.
No, to actually put gas in a house, I'm not even sure the fuck that would work.
And here's the thing:
I mean,
none of
you need
us,
like a gas tank.
Yeah.
It's just gas, right?
none of us are
Like-
pros on like extermination techniques of the 1930s.
Right.
We'll be the first to say it. I mean, as far as I come to knowing about it, it's Tom and Jerry cartoons where it was like the big, red squirt puff bottle where
If you're using like,
whatever.
if you're gonna like smoke bees out, like use smoke to get bees out of somewhere or something like that, which I think is a thing. I could be completely
no, smoking
wrong.
bees is definitely a thing.
Yeah, so I guess that would work, but it just seems like, especially for the time frame, you would need some fucking equipment. They don't have like up to date Home Depot shit,
Oh, well, you know what? Then again, it could be multiple liquids that
it's true.
when they're squirted in there,
They
thing
turn
make
into
the vapor.
a
yeah,
vapor.
like if you mix ammonia and bleach or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah,
The deadly.
Yeah, the
The
deadliest.
deadliest.
The
yeah.
fucking the mustard gas. Yeah, not good.
Okay.
All right.
So we don't know, I guess the point is, but what we do have to bear in mind is that it does not seem to be liquid.
No.
And it is more often than not, though, that we're going to find some cases where this is an exception to the rule, invisible.
Yeah. Okay.
So those are things just to take into consideration. Clarence quickly set his family to stay with some friends and recruited a gang of neighborhood men to hunt down and apprehend the offending anesthetist.
Yeah.
The impromptu posse spent the rest of the night searching the woods near Cal's property, but their hunt proved ultimately to be little more than a chaotic waste of time, which is the story of my life.
I mean, you're going to be drinking with your buddies and out there with some guns looking for a fucking
You got to assume they
evil
had moonshine.
anesthetist.
I mean, it's
Got
Virginia
to.
33. I don't know where Prohibition
Oh,
sits.
God. If it's Auburn,
around
if
that
it's
area.
Auburn in 2021, we're going to be hammered looking for someone.
Obviously, if someone's gassing our friends,
Yeah.
we're not going to hunt them
Well,
sober.
it depends on the
No.
gas. If it's like dope gas,
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, if it's like the sweet
That's
gas.
true.
it's like, dude, someone's throwing whippets at my window,
Yeah.
and I'm doing them. I'm like, all right.
And I'm
Can you
doing
find
them.
out who's this fucking?
Bill's got a house full of nitrous. I'll be there in minutes.
Yeah. Hold. Here's my balloon.
Yeah,
Fill
here's
me
my
up.
balloon.
I mean, we have to take care of this in a serious manner.
This is bad.
Very bad.
Someone bring some bears, please. It's very bad.
Okay.
Oh, God. All right. Yes, indeed. Okay. While most of the local men were tromping through the woods, Cal's neighbor, one Emmett Lee, claimed that the wrongdoer remained close to home. Though it may just have been a justifiable case of the jitters, Emmett was convinced that he'd heard strange voices outside his window. In an effort to protect his family and frighten off any would-be trespassers, Emmett retrieved his shotgun, courageously stepped into the darkness, and blasted the weapon skyward.
Nice.
Dad move. The patriarch saw neither hide nor hair of the phantom anesthetist. Nevertheless, he and his wife Laura swiftly wrangled all fucking 10 of their children,
Oh, God.
prolific breeders, and kept them locked upstairs for the remainder of the night. It's more like children fucking in the attic or whatever, some creepy ass 80s shit.
Yeah, really.
Lest the vermin should choose to assail their home next. Just 3 days later, on December 27th, 1933, the miasmic maniac struck again, less than 5 miles to the north, when he sprayed his apparently poisonous mist at A.L. Kelly and his mother in their Troutville home. This time, however, the eyewitnesses were able to report what may have been the first tangible clues as to the gasser, or as the case may be, gassers' identity. A.L. later told police officers that he noticed a brand new 1933 Chevrolet cruising suspiciously in front of the isolated house that he shared with his mother. He further reported that the vehicle appeared to be occupied by both a man and a woman. One of the Kelly's neighbors managed to jot down a partial license plate number, but the police were unable to identify the vehicle or its owners.
Oh, I got some kind of weird romantic gasser fantasy happening here.
It's what's happening,
Oh,
totally.
this is fucking weird.
I mean, it's, yes, clearly
That's why people should not.
brand new car.
Yeah. Married couple out gassing people into weird
Well,
shit.
it's clearly
Or
a
young
doctor.
lovers.
It's a doctor
And his
his
nurse.
nurse.
Oh, I didn't even see
Because
that coming.
who has a brand new car in 1933? The heels of the Great War.
The heels.
who have that? No one has the money
right.
except the doctor and the nurse.
Well, it's a little past the heels. It's starting to get on to the cusp of the new
Do you
Great
think,
War.
do you
That's
think
true.
there's
But still.
romance? Is there romance?
Of course,
Chris?
there's romance.
Do you think there's
You don't
romance?
gas
Is it
strangers unless you
professional?
love someone.
Or are they banging? All right, so Chris's face. He's in the right path here. I just want them to be in love.
They could be in love.
Okay, there it is.
The same day, the Roanoke Times, established in 1886 and serving as Southwestern Virginia's primary news source at the time, published an account of the attacks, igniting a wildfire of panic in the local populace and triggering a media frenzy. Following the Roanoke Times' initially serious report, other outlets published all manner of wild speculation regarding the inscrutable origins and nefarious purpose of the fiend they dubbed the Phantom Anesthetist, or, as one paper called him, the Anesthetic Prowler.
It's a lot.
Or,
to
I'm sorry,
say.
the Anesthetic Prowler. See, even I'm fucking it up.
Anesthetic prowler.
The Anesthetic Prowler. As paranoia swept the county, fathers would keep night-long vigils on their front porches with their dogs and rifles close at hand, while mothers stuffed keyholes and every other crack they could find in their rambling old homes with torn rags in a desperate bid to keep the horrible, possibly lethal fumes from invading their homes and claiming their children. The Botetourt County Board of Supervisors even took the extreme measure of offering $500 reward, a substantial sum considering the Great Depression was still in effect. I hope it was, by the way. I really don't know when that ended. For the capture of this vaporific villain. Not surprisingly, the reward was never claimed. The smoky scoundrel, yeah,
Yes.
lay low for almost 2 weeks before he reared his head again on January 10th, 1934. Homer Hilton, not Hilton, well, maybe it's Hilton. Maybe it's Hilton with a Y.
Could be.
Okay.
Homer Hilton was asleep with his wife in an upstairs bedroom in their Fincastle home, located 7 miles north of Troutville, when his daughter, a woman referred to only as Mrs. Moore, slept on a downstairs couch near her infant child. Moore was staying with her parents while her husband was away on business, surely hoping that she and her child would be safer with her parents than they would be alone. She would have no such luck.
Oh, no.
At approximately 10 p.m., Moore claimed that she was awoken to tend to the baby when she was startled by the sounds of quote-unquote mumbling voices, followed by the distinct rattling of someone moving the shades in an effort to open a nearby window, which, she later noted, had been previously broken. Before the terrified young mother could react, the room suddenly began filling with rancid smog. Moore swiftly snagged her child and exited the room, feeling what she described as a, quote, marked feeling of numbness, end quote. Moore shrieked, waking her parents.
Oh, God damn.
Thankfully, all involved managed to escape unharmed, though Homer remained awake for the remainder of the night in the hopes of offsetting a repeat performance by the gaseous ghoul. Unlike Carl Hoffman, he suffered no additional surprises. The Hilton's neighbor, G.E. Pogue, confirmed Moore's account, claiming that he had also heard voices outside of his home at approximately the same time. Later that evening, a Troutville resident named G.D. Kinsey was allegedly the victim of yet another respiratory mauling by the Phantom Anesthetist. Authorities speculated that the break in the window was the conduit through which the fiendish fog had infiltrated the home. The press reported the incident, colorfully claiming that, quote, and I love this, nocturnal dispensers of nauseating and benumbing gas went abroad in Botetourt County last night. I love that. Nocturnal dispensers of nauseating and benumbing gas.
It's a fucking crazy headline.
It is.
It's
great.
absolutely ridiculous.
The reporting was always great. Not always accurate.
Yeah.
Not always
It's a little over the
reputable.
top. I'm going to say it again.
Maybe a smidge shallow.
Ridiculous.
Just a smidge. In the town of Bonsack, which is nestled nearly 14 miles south of Fincastle and just 8 miles south of Troutville. I'm trying to paint a picture. If any of our listeners can't follow it, don't fucking worry. I was on Google Maps constantly as I was writing this.
Oh, no.
Constantly.
Oh, God.
But again, it's an up and down pattern. It's like an EKG fucking
Okay.
thing, but within a very condensed
Sweet.
place. The alleged victim, one F.B. Duval, wasted no time in exiting his home in order to wrangle up some officers of the law. Duval claimed that on his way to the police station, he saw a man inexplicably jump from a car parked in an intersection and speed away from the scene on foot. I don't know why, if you're
Why
trying
would
to
you-
escape, you leave the fucking car.
He saw me, shit, and he runs, and it's like,
Yeah.
That's either pure asshole panic or you got a flat or something.
never mind the car, sir. And he's just fucking runs.
I have faith in my feet.
Yeah, weird. Okay.
Duval and the now seasoned mad gasser pursuer, Officer O.D. Lemon,
He's back,
back
baby.
for the attack,
Okay.
cruised the area for hours searching for the temporarily abandoned vehicle to no avail. Lemon did, however, find the prints of a woman's shoe uncannily similar to those he discovered outside of the Hoffman home near where the car had been mysteriously parked. Another 3 days elapsed. Then on January 19th, the gasser once again sprung into action, again near Cloverdale. It's okay if you don't remember what else happened near Cloverdale. Neither do I at this point.
Okay.
This time, quote unquote, we don't know, was accused of spraying into the window of a former judge's wife, Mrs. Campbell. Campbell claimed that she was sitting near an open window when her curtains inexplicably moved. Seconds later, she succumbed to an intense feeling of nausea.
No boy.
Improbable as it may seem, the already prolific anesthetic prowler suddenly began to increase the rate of attacks, with no less than 5 reported encounters taking place over the course of 3 fuck-sucking nights.
Oh, wow. Holy
That's
shit.
a lot.
Yeah,
The
that is.
first of the 5 assaults transpired on January 21st when Howard Crawford and his wife entered their home, which was wedged somewhere between Troutville and Cloverdale. It's a clusterfuck. Howard entered first, but before he could turn on the lights, he stumbled backwards, beleaguered by the cloud of gas that had filled their home. The police were quick to arrive at the scene, but much like in the other attacks, there were few clues of note. Perhaps the most befuddling, if ultimately worthless, piece of evidence found at the locale was a hand crank from an old automobile.
Oh.
The officers and the Crawfords were perplexed by this discovery, but were unable to glean any additional information from the instrument. So I guess someone had a Model T in the area, but who the fuck knows?
Yeah, that's for the side quest. They never did.
Yeah,
apparently.
yeah.
So
Exactly.
they didn't get that bonus item.
By this point, the police and press had logged more than a dozen reports of gas attacks, and it was then that the illustrious New York Times finally got wind of this terrifying nocturnal raider. In a story they published under the headline, quote, "Virginians are terrorized by gas thrower who flees in night after making victims ill," end quote.
Awful headline.
Gas thrower?
Awful
Gas
headline.
thrower, and it's so big.
It
It's
should have been
cumbersome.
Virginians terrorized by gas thrower. You're like, I gotta read that.
No, New York papers really in the latter half of the 20th century stripped down fucking headlines to like the bare essentials.
Yeah, you
it's
have
like
to.
hate, kill, punch 3, and you're like, oh my god, I totally know what's
Yeah.
going on.
Jesus Christ.
But back then, no, it was ponderous.
Okay.
The Times took what was once a local anomaly and transformed it into an international curiosity. The day after the story broke, the Virginia General Assembly approved a bill offered by Roanoke delegates Blair Fishburne and W.H. Scott, as well as M.R. Morgan of Botetourt, which made it a felony punishable by up to 10 years in prison for anyone convicted of releasing noxious gases in public or private places. And if said incident resulted in injury, those convicted would be, quote, deemed guilty of malicious wounding and punished from between 1 and 20 years in the penitentiary in the discretion of the court, end quote. This law is still on the books in Virginia.
It was that
All
big
right.
that it caused fucking legislation to be passed.
Oh, absolutely.
You would think it would kind of already be against the law.
So there would be no context to put laws on the books
Okay.
against gas attacks or anything else, like crime and murder, assault, all that shit's just
Right.
there.
Sure.
That's
but
biblical
that's very
stuff.
specific. It's
Yeah, I just
if no one
assumed-
did it yet, why would there be a rule to be
Exactly.
like potential things we like? Don't throw sheep shit at people. Like no
You
one
have
did
to
it
have
yet
an issue
until-
before exactly. It's a
Cow
problem.
shit is fine. Sheep shit unacceptable.
Tote.
All right. Understandable.
Apparently, The new law did little to deter the enthusiasm of the spectral gasser, as the evening of January 22nd, 1934 would prove to be the most prolific night for the vicious, ostensibly amateur chemist. During the course of just 1 hour, no less than 3 sets of victims claimed to have been assaulted by appalling fumes in Carvin's, Cove, which is just a few miles northeast of Cloverdale. The first casualty of the scoundrel's infamous 1-hour onslaught was Ed Reedy, who claimed to suffer symptoms that included nausea and numbness. This was followed by one Raymond Etter, whose son claimed to have pursued and fired shots at a quote-unquote man, hastily making his escape from the Etter home. So there's a dude in your house. You probably know it's a dude. I guess they didn't get a good look at him, or maybe he was masked.
Just take a shot.
I don't know. Unfortunately, the speedy quarry managed to elude his tracker by vanishing into a field. The final victim, fucking 1 hour, it's nuts, of the evening was George C. Reilly. Following his airborne assault, Reilly managed to get a hold of his brother, who was an officer with the Roanoke Police Department. In no time, the police had roadblocks stationed all around the area, all in an unprecedented effort to finally capture this crazed corrupter of the atmosphere. That's for you, Mark. Despite the officers' best efforts, the insidious interloper, not surprisingly, managed to once again evade the authorities. This was the final straw for the good citizens of Botetourt County. Families who were isolated from their neighbors began to band together in large groups, occupying single homes in an effort to mitigate the risk. Those who weren't protecting the families formed armed posses of vigilantes who took it upon themselves to patrol the roads after dusk, looking for any sign of the lumbering brute and his evidently feminine cohort. So it's on. The law is in the hands of the citizens.
Dude, fucking monster posse time, dude.
Or paranormal, or just dude who's fucking a little too happy with the fucking spray gun.
There you go.
Police grew concerned that an innocent stroller might become victim of one of these armed locals and delved into the case with even more intensity, as the Roanoke Times beseeched the amateur night patrolmen to refrain from firing upon their fellow citizens, even quoting one officer as stating, quote, "Some innocent person passing a house or calling upon a neighbor may be wounded or killed through nervousness."
That's from Mark specifically.
Yeah, it can happen. That's a chance you take. Okay, maybe don't. You know what? Better rule. Don't shoot at anybody.
So yeah, you're
call the cops.
You're making
you to
me
stop, and you're
justify
just not
my
stopping.
human bed, and you're fucking talking about who it's cool to kill.
Yeah, no. I mean, it sounds great, but yeah, you should probably.
It sounds great.
Yeah,
Sounds great.
You should probably.
I don't know about that.
I mean,
I
you
don't
guys,
go that
you're
far.
protecting your shit, but I think, yeah, unfortunately, more oftentimes than not, someone innocent's going to get hurt, and it's not going to be good.
That's trouble waiting to
Yeah,
happen.
it sure is.
It's a little bit fucking, it's a little bit sketchy.
Thank you for that.
Super fucking sketchy.
Thank you.
I'm going to say that right there, bad idea.
Wow.
Yeah,
And a breakthrough was made today.
there you go. Bad idea, Mark.
Although there were no victims, by pure fucking chance, the next encounter was to prove even more terrifying. The incident began on January 23rd when Mrs. R.H. Hartzell and her family returned to their Pleasantdale church home at 4:30 in the morning after spending the night with neighbors. The Hartzells were dismayed to discover that the doors of their house had been blocked with mounds of wood and debris. When they cleared the obstacles away, they were even more distressed to determine that the house was filled with a foul mist.
That's a twist in the case.
It is, definitely. It was as if the phantom, not realizing they were out, had tried to trap them and perhaps kill them in their own home. One can only speculate in shuddering horror what these terrifying trespassers might have done with an incapacitated and isolated family at their mercy.
Jesus.
The authorities, including Sheriff L.T. Mundy, who had initially dismissed the gas attacks as mere mischief stirred up by juvenile delinquents, were now forced to concede that their amateur anesthetists were a force to be reckoned with. Speculation grew that the perpetrator might well be a deranged World War I veteran who may have had all too close encounters with lethal gases during the Great War. Others believed that an atypical mad scientist was at work, a garage chemist driven to madness by vengeance, poverty, or lost love. Still others felt that more sinister and decidedly more diabolical forces were at work. Maybe something paranormal. Lauren Coleman shoots some paranormal theories.
All right, well,
other people do.
We're going to get there.
On January 24th, 1934, the first official hoax of this psychotic cycle was reported when a woman named Mamie Brown burst from her Fincastle home shrieking that she'd been attacked by gas. A crowd led to her house by local constable C. E. Williamson had determined that some teens had pulled an ill-timed prank. On February 12th, a chemist identified the mystery liquid that had been thrown through her window as a mixture of substances that were harmless to humans and most likely an insecticide.
These fucking kids. God damn it.
And also, chemists in the 30s, don't tell me what's harmless to humans.
Yeah,
all right,
really.
you motherfuckers.
Fucking what's up with asbestos?
At roughly 9 p.m. on January 25th, one of the watchdogs on the Chester Snyder farm near Cloverdale began ferociously barking. Chester, as swept up in the gasser hysteria as everyone else in the region, leapt out of bed, snagged his shotgun, ran outside, and fired at the vague figure of a trespasser who was walking through his field. Whether or not this incident relates to the phantom is unknown, but only a damn fool would wander into someone's property after dark during such a paranoia-fueled episode as this.
Yeah, this is not what you want to do, man.
Why would you do anything untoward? Why would you even... I wouldn't even leave the house after 6 p.m.
Yeah, no, I think some people are just pushing boundaries. Or just completely unaware.
Right.
Yeah.
On January 28th, a farmer from Cloverdale named Ed Stanley, his wife, a hired hand by the name of Frank Guy, and 2 others were all inside of Stanley's home when it began to fill with an inexplicable haze, one of the few cases where they actually saw the mist. Frank sprinted outside for fresh air and swore that he saw 4 men running toward a densely forested area at the base of the Blue Ridge Mountains. Knowing full well that he likely had just bore witness to the notorious phantom anesthetist and his gang of miscreants, Frank darted back into the Stanley's house, retrieved his rifle, and dashed back outside. The men were no longer visible, but Frank claimed that he could hear them rustling in the nearby forest. He fired a spray of bullets toward the noises.
I mean, I want to root this on, but I'm going to say bad idea, guys. Could be kids playing.
Frank?
Could be kids playing.
Calm down.
Yep.
Ed farted.
Yeah.
No.
Just come on.
Bang, bang.
Sometimes
bang,
they're
bang.
visible.
Yeah,
It's
here you go.
gassy.
All right.
He was never sure if any of his bullets found their mark. On the eve, and this is where things take a twist. On the eve of January 29th, the gassers, for the first time, returned to the same residence on a consecutive night. Stanley claimed that he heard noises outside of his window before the room filled with gas. Inexplicably, his account ends abruptly with that fact, but one can't help but speculate that this second onslaught might have been retaliation for Frank Guy's attack the previous night. Perhaps one of the misanthropic mist men had been wounded or even killed. On February 3rd, 1934, just 9 miles northeast of Cloverdale in the town of Nace, a man named, and I love this, A.P. Skaggs.
Oh, good old A.P. Skaggs.
Perfect.
It's very likely going to be my next pseudonym on Patreon.
Perfect.
Along with his wife and 5 other friends, were all sickened by the gas, which they believed had come in 2 separate doses. How they assess this, where it's coming from, I don't fucking know.
Okay.
It's just what they said. In response to those who, for some reason, doubted the veracity of Skaggs' story, one Sheriff Williamson stated, quote, "No amount of imagination in the world would make people as ill as the Skaggs are."
Skaggs is
Jeez,
ill out.
right.
Jesus.
I know it seems like an 80s diss, but I love it. Because either you're a country superstar or you're like the greatest meth runner in history when your name is A.P. Skaggs.
Right.
For sure, yeah.
It's just phenomenal. Guess who shows up? Anyone want to guess? You guys can both read it in front of you.
Oh, geez, I don't know. Could it be O.D. Lemon?
O.D. Lemon.
He's back.
Officer O.D. was once again dispatched to the scene. He noted that this time the mist did more than merely cause nausea and convulsions. In fact, the symptoms displayed by some of the Skaggs' family seemed more akin to what one would endure when exposed to an extraordinarily large dosage of hallucinogenic drugs.
Oh, the fucking airborne psychedelics. I like it.
One of Skaggs's nephews was recorded as hysterically shrieking that he was trapped inside the house. Shades of early MK Ultra, perhaps?
Oh, start dosing people. There you go.
The family's pet dog also seemed to be suffering the deleterious effects of gas exposure, as Lemon noticed when he returned the following day. The Skaggs children were all weeping as their dog frantically rolled and convulsed in the snow, as if attempting to dislodge the malodorous spray of a skunk while at the same time having a seizure.
Oh, Jesus.
The dog apparently remained ill for days, but eventually, like the rest of the family, mercifully recovered.
Thank God. Don't fuck with the dog.
I know. It
Jesus
ruined you
Christ.
for the rest of the pod.
That's
I know.
it.
During the week that followed, there were a score of Mad Gasser reports within a 30-mile radius of Botetourt County. At about 8 p.m. on February 7th, Mrs. A.H. Milan of Rohrer Avenue in nearby Roanoke, in the county of the same name, reported an incident that began when Milan's 12-year-old daughter noticed a quote-unquote funny smell coming from the door. Within minutes, both mother and daughter were overcome with dizziness. The child recovered quickly, but Milan spent a precautionary night in the hospital. No one was seen near their home during the alleged attack, but the report was enough to trigger a spate of additional sightings, or more accurately, smellings, throughout the area. Over the next 2 hours, the Roanoke police were besieged by reports from five additional attacks, beginning less than an hour later at 8:55 p.m. when an employee of the city health department, along with 3 of his family members, sensed a strange smell in their house and briefly felt weak. Other accounts were nothing more than folks detecting odd scents and feeling woozy. The police were able to identify the origin of these fumes as being a leaky coal stove and the exhaust from a passing vehicle.
Yeah, well.
Okay.
Still others smacked of hysteria or outright hoaxes.
I mean, I get it. Things are popping off. You're going to be nervous. The truck's going to go by. And you're going to be like,
Exactly.
God, and start fucking grabbing your throat. Like, I can't breathe and
So-
shit. But
This sudden inter-county rash of mostly misreports, combined with crack-brained teens throwing a bottle of insecticide through Mamie Brown's window, were enough for local police to dismiss the whole thing, in much the same way the authorities of Mattoon would a decade later, as nothing more than mass hysteria fueled by the occasional prank. The final attack by the Phantom Anesthetists took place that same week on February 9th. J.G. Schaefer claimed that the fiendish fumigator, come on, Mark, give me love, give me your love, had infiltrated his home, but managed to escape through the snowdrifts into his barn. Schaefer managed to secure a sample of snow that lingered outside his window, which seemed to have the residue of the mist embedded within it. The sweet-smelling material was analyzed and was determined to contain arsenic and sulfur, 2 ingredients often found in insecticides of the era. And as we all know, as that doctor mentioned earlier, the chemist mentioned earlier, arsenic and sulfur, harmless to humans. Completely harmless. So that's perfect. When the police arrived, they followed the culprit's tracks back to the barn behind Schaefer's home, but were disturbed to discover that there was no one inside the barn, and even more shockingly, no tracks leading away from it. This has led some to speculate that the Phantom might be a paranormal or even interdimensional being.
that's a lot even for me.
Yeah. Well,
Wow, that's a jump.
all right, if you can follow the tracks going in and there are no tracks going out, that is notable. I'm not saying
Okay.
I'm not jumping instantly to interdimensional or extraterrestrial. I'm
Right.
hybridizing those phrases. But I will say, if the tracks are clearly going in and no one's in the barn and it's not snowing, apparently, and there's no tracks going out, that's something.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's paranormal, but it's,
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see where it takes us.
You of all people, I can't believe that you're not down with the fiendish fumigator and his fucking ability to fly.
Right on.
Fiendish fumigator
Oh, perfect.
from Dimension X.
There it is.
That's a weird fucking Dimension X.
I don't even know, but I was going to let it
Dimension
go.
X.
It should be noted that a set of tracks clearly showing a pair of quote-unquote women's shoes were found emerging from the property and into the street. Not from the barn, but the property. So I don't know.
The high jumper.
Oh.
Yeah, the high
Oh,
jumper.
is that what we're calling him now?
The high jumper.
Oh, the Botetourt high jumper?
Botetourt high jumper.
Okay.
Yep. Had one of them long poles.
Oh, that's called a pole vaulter.
Shit.
Yeah,
I just figured that
out. It's a
out.
different thing,
Yep.
but that's okay.
Whatever.
High jumping's also impressive. So is pole vault.
Yeah.
Hell, all that shit's impressive.
Combination both.
Long jumps, come on.
All right, fine. There you go.
These individuals are jumping over 20 feet. Come on, and they're human beings. I'm impressed.
There it is.
But this is not what's happening here. There's a lady walking from the property into the street.
Okay.
There's no tracks coming from the barn.
Cool.
Demons.
You sold
Am I
me.
jumping the gun a little?
A little bit. A smidge.
Perhaps.
It's okay. It's okay.
In a futile effort to calm the panic-struck public, police and other local authorities released a statement saying that the Virginia gas attacks were nothing more than a flight of fancy spread by out-of-control rumors and defective chimney flues, which had, quote-unquote, to varying degrees, adversely affected the victim's psyche and respiratory systems.
Ooh, okay.
Just normal gas leaks and freaked out people.
It was 33. Chimney tech was not great.
What? Chimney tech was probably at its apex. Chimneys have been around for fucking centuries. That was like the end of the chimney era.
Yeah. All right. Well,
You know,
That doesn't mean
I-
the tech was great.
yeah,
all right.
exactly.
Yeah, but you have to imagine that by the time 33 rolled around, they had fucking nailed to the best of their fucking abilities what chimneys can do.
Yeah,
All right, so you're the fucking chimney
start
expert.
fires in the house and have noxious gases filled with doing all
You
kinds
can
of
shit
shit.
all over chimneys as much as you want. I'm just saying by 33, they must have gotten it better than they had it in 1733.
Welcome.
Yeah,
Better than they had it
that's
in
not
1612.
much of
better
a
than they had it in 1880.
I mean, hammers were probably better.
Welcome.
Exactly. Listen,
bread.
I didn't say this was like
Yeah,
fucking
like, come
the
on now.
Elon Musk of chimney fucking tech. I just said that it is good as it got.
Welcome to
probably.
my anti-chimney platform.
Wow.
Enjoy.
Hater. Okay. Fuck you. Ladies walking to the streets. All right. So it goes without saying that those closest to the investigation, like the dozens of victims or, of course, O.D. Lemon, did not support the official explanation of this puzzling case. It's also worth noting that these attacks seem to stop in tandem with these frankly ludicrous official denials of the gasser's existence. Does this indicate that the government agency that may or may not have been responsible for these experiments informed the local authorities that they were to dismiss the whole series of events to prevent further panic, or is it merely a coinky-dink? I wrote coincidence, but it's
Okay.
called improv.
Respect.
Yeah. In the end, what we are left with are questions. Was the phantom anesthetist a doctor, a nurse, a chemist, a veterinary assistant, or was the entity or entities involved in any number of careers that gave them access to chemicals that could render a human being unconscious? Whatever their occupation, or species for that matter, we, nestled comfortably here in the 21st century, would be remiss to discount the genuine terror that gripped Central Virginia in 1933 and early 1934. Robert Bartholomew, who has written on the subject, had this to say, quote, "If you want to know what it was like to live in Roanoke or Botetourt back then, it was just like after September 11th, end quote. Now, he might be hyperbolic, but then again, the terror of what they felt at the time was probably pretty acute. So what should we make of the mad gassers of Botetourt County? The culprits were never apprehended, that much is clear. But what became of them? Did they, as many believe, lay low for the better part of a decade before returning to their wicked ways in Mattoon, Illinois in 1944? Were they actually war-crazed veterans or insidious government agents looking to test the deleterious effects of a new vaporized weapon by experimenting on unsuspecting American citizens? As far as the discovery of multiple feminine footprints at the scenes of the crimes, does this mean that the gasser was female, or perhaps part of a couple, possibly a peculiar, pharmacologically knowledgeable Bonnie and Clyde, who for reasons beyond our grasp took it upon themselves to fill the homes of strangers with noxious fumes? Hell, and this is totally legit, there have even been unconfirmed reports of 8 men in the same area as the gassings. That's where you get into high strangeness.
All right, weird.
There's only so much I can do with that, but I'm going to mention it, and
I'm
for the sake of
intrigued.
completeness,
You got me intrigued.
which throws an entirely new light on the proceedings. In the end, it's the why that remains so baffling for most researchers. There is simply no clear-cut motive for these sinister home invasions, but the commonality of the attacks in Virginia, and then later, of course, in Illinois, which we'll get to at some point, and to a lesser degree Florida, which is a one-off shot that I'll bring up later, seem to indicate a distinct pattern of seemingly random assaults on victims of little or no wealth or political influence by a person or persons whose agenda remains as perplexing today as it was over 80 years ago. Perhaps the best description of the mad gasser that can be proffered was written by Donald M. Johnson in the 1954 issue of the Journal of Abnormal and Social Psychology. In his article, The Phantom Anesthetists of Mattoon, so specifically about Mattoon, but I think it applies across the board, a field study in mass hysteria, Johnson called the gasser a, quote, shadowy manifestation of some unimaginable unknown, end quote. And that seems to nail it pretty well. Both
Yeah.
Mattoon, Florida, and which we haven't discussed yet, and Virginia.
You know, I would say that definitely wraps it up. So what's interesting about this, though, is that, like, there's not really, I mean, to me at least, I'm not really seeing, besides the footprints, or like a paranormal angle, like, whatsoever.
You know.
Right.
But it's almost like a weird random not random, because I'm sure that apparently they did have a pattern as far as traveling the state. Just weird gas attacks for really, like you had stated, no purpose.
No purpose
At all. I mean, except for the one there where
That's
they kind of
definable.
they blocked the people into the house or whatever. But it's almost like
But that's
just,
not.
yeah,
that's
that's
not
still-
that doesn't give us motive.
Yeah, it doesn't give
yeah,
a why.
There's nothing.
do that.
There's nothing there.
Right.
It's fucking.
No, that's I think what makes it so haunting. Like
it's
if,
super fucking freaky.
When they came back to their house, they found wood piled up on their door, and the house was full of gas, and all their jewelry and valuables
Was stolen.
were missing.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, then you instantly have motive.
Right, but there appears to be no pattern of motivation at all.
And
for
here's
any of
the other
this.
problem. I mean, while Bonnie and Clyde or other serial killers, like, you know, of that ilk were traveling around doing what the fuck they were doing, getting off on it, you know, Mickey and Mallory style, that's a possible motivation. These people were condensed in one county, in one state,
Yeah.
Right.
traveling back and forth within, I don't think it ever gets more than 20 miles apart.
Seemingly not, yeah.
Which you'd
Or
think to
close
be able to
it.
like narrow down suspects would be kind of fucking easy if that was the case.
Well,
You would think, unless it's somebody obviously from outside the area.
this is one
traveling
place
in.
where I'll definitely disparage 1933 and both forensic technology and law enforcement investigative techniques.
There is no DNA.
But if they think, I mean, like, who really has access? I mean, they must have looked into anybody who has
Exactly.
possible access to arsenic and fucking, right?
You would,
Like
think,
sulfur
you would think there would be a way
or
to
weird
track that
insecticide
down.
type shit.
But I mean, then again, fuck. I mean, the rules are so fucking loose back then. It's like Wild West bullshit where you're like, look, I got blasting caps, a fucking machine gun, and a tub full of fucking booze.
No,
Like,
it was
no one
yeah,
would
but like,
tell.
I don't know if that's the case.
That's true. All right.
No,
Well,
I mean, to a degree, it was a libertarian paradise in the sense
Yeah, but
that
like
they did
gases?
no, maybe not gases.
I'm
but,
saying-
but if you are a chemist or a scientist or a
Right.
doctor or, like I said, even a vet,
Sure, but those things at least narrow it down.
they do narrow it
You
down.
at least have an area to look for.
But you
yeah.
definitely, I mean, a libertarian paradise in the sense that fucking what was regulated? What was regulated? You know what? Fingers were your responsibility back then. Jarts would
Yeah,
never have been outlawed. I'm not saying this is good or bad. I'm just saying
I stand behind Jarts.
there was no helmet laws, there was no seatbelt laws, there's
No,
no
yeah.
bullshit. And again, I love the fact that I have survived many things because of those laws and that people I love have. So I'm not shitting on the laws themselves. What I'm suggesting is back then it was carte fucking blanche.
Right.
And if you knew what to do with sulfur and arsenic and fuck all, you could pretty much do it. And you could go to
Well, yeah, well,
Georgia
sure.
and buy it and drive back. And there's no credit cards. There's nothing. There's nothing but big giant
maybe.
dollar bills. And
I don't know if
fucking
there was an
whatever the fuck else is-
underground ring of arsenic dealers.
I mean, there
like
could-
between. I
you
mean,
never know. There could be.
No, there
I'm not-
very well could have been.
I'm
but,
not saying
but,
there is. I'm just saying if you wanted it, if you had knowledge of how to use it and you had purpose, whatever twisted
Right.
purpose that might be, you could do it without being found out about. There's not going to be databases.
No,
Shit,
there's
I don't
not.
even think there was an FBI then, was there?
I
didn't
just
even know
don't.
when
I
that
just
started.
don't know how readily any of that was really
Oh, arsenic was available. I mean, think of all the, like you said earlier, the tinctures and the fucking snake oil bullshit.
Right. So, okay.
You got cocaine and everything. Kites.
So, you got kites with cocaine?
Yeah, they sprinkle coke down in you.
Oh, that's
you
a
get
great
high
way
as fuck.
I would then fly a kite. Are you happy?
I'm never happy when we talk about kites.
You made
Fuck
me
kites.
fly a kite because of cocaine. So, all right, I guess we have no motivation. We don't even know how the fuck they're doing this. Besides, apparently there's a tube put in.
Maybe there's a hole.
No one's really seeing, like what type of device they're actually using to fucking get this gas in
All right,
there.
let's deal with the facts. You're right. Let's break this down solidly. You have people being nauseous and adversely affected, especially Alice Hoffman.
Right.
But other people, burning eyes. So there's something going on. You have strangers, one of which looks like a hulking man,
Right.
and footprints that are a woman's.
That's a few times.
That's common.
A few times. But you never see someone gassing anyone. You never
No.
see someone inserting a tube. You hear rustling at a window or a curtain.
Yes.
And you smell and feel the noxious fumes. But
Yeah.
so a lot of this is really very speculative in its connections.
Yeah.
No, yeah, absolutely it is.
I mean, as far as a paranormal bridge here,
Right.
what do you think? Because I'm reaching to make it paranormal, but I can't fucking figure out demon farts.
Aside
so
from that one, it's almost I'm not even going to offer one for that.
I don't
to
even
be honest with you.
know what to do with it. Like
Lauren Coleman suggested, now I think this might be specific to Mattoon, again, that is a huge case, even bigger than this. And
right.
will get its own place at some point, place of pride. There might be an extraterrestrial connection.
Oh, okay. So we're talking about like aliens
with
or
this.
something. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well.
And other people have suggested something interdimensional or, of course, diabolical. Because what but a demon from hell would want to make your family sick or kill your daughter or whatever the fuck it wants to do, and just terrify a neighbor. And then let's go with the old standby, the old classic, the ultra-terrestrial. This seems perfect for it. Because even though, again, we all know we're all a little bit suspect on it, but this thing is not really trying to kill people so much as inspire terror. And if terror is your main source of nutrition, well, fucking gangbusters, you've done great for yourself in this one county.
It just seems like the gas is a fucking weird route to go.
You asked me to find paranormal explanations.
I totally.
But I'm grasping at fuck-sucking straws here.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
None of
that's
none
the
of
problem.
this are things that I necessarily...
Okay.
Like, I'm more inclined to think that this is going to fit into the very, very rare times when we deal with the conspiratorial, which is to say, I don't necessarily think it is, though it might be, a pre-MK Ultra-esque thing, even though I suggested earlier, but a government agency of some sort. And there were intelligence agencies, even though I don't...
Like testing chemical weapons on civilians?
And rural civilians that aren't likely to report it, but where you can get that are likely to report it, but aren't likely to affect, it's not New York City or LA, someplace that's going to get a lot of press. Because you got to remember how limited media was in the 1930s. When the New York Times covered it, it was a big deal, but it was slow. So if you wanted to do something and you realized it wasn't lethal for the most part, except like poor Alice Hoffman maybe having an allergic reaction, and you wanted to see what it was like, and you wanted to see if say you get a sense that it's 33, so Hitler is fucking doing some chicanery, some vile ass scumfuckery, and you're like, we might want to see what a rural town, in the Black Forest is going to react to if we unleash this gas.
Right.
We can get a picture of it by doing it in Botetourt, fucking Virginia, and it won't hurt the people. Oh, it'll scare them a little, whatever. But hey, it's for America.
Right.
So that is a possibility. Experimenting on a psychological, especially when you talk about the Skaggs thing, where the dude was having basically a psychedelic fit.
There's
to do that on your own citizens is now unheralded.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, Tuskegee Airmen.
Definitely.
Is that not the airmen, but the Tuskegee experiment? Were they airmen? I don't remember well, but I remember the African Americans that they did like terrible experiments on.
Yes.
And I'm kicking myself for not knowing the specific name, but it's an atrocity in American history. Americans have been MK Ultra is another great example.
Yeah, totally.
Have been experimented on. So, and the entire French village that they dosed out. So, the thought of a government agency experimenting on chemicals on their own citizens for a quote-unquote greater good is not out of the question.
No, I can definitely see that angle. I mean, there isn't really any... There's nothing. There's no proof on the ground pointing to that, but I could definitely see that as a solid theory, because it's almost like, who would have access to all this shit? It obviously would be the government, and who would be able to actually get away kind of scot-free with it, you know?
Right.
Well, I mean, not how that it was readily available. Like, if anyone can just go and get arsenic and stuff, then
Right,
then
and then
not.
do it.
And that's the other theory.
Right,
And maybe the theory that my exploitation film loving brain prefers, which is the idea of this fucking renegade Bonnie and Clyde couple, this hulking simple dude and this brilliant feminine fucking psychopathic genius. I mean, I
like
gravitate
Solomon-
towards the strong woman.
Well,
but that's what it
sure.
is.
Like Solomon Grundy and fucking Poison Ivy.
Okay,
Doing
fair
their
enough.
thing.
Yeah, if you want to go
Perfect.
DC, it's perfect. And for whatever reason, maybe for criminal intent, maybe for something
It almost just
much
sounds
shadier,
homicidal.
darker, and lascivious.
It's like there's no other way other than
It
homicidal.
doesn't sound homicidal to me because it doesn't kill. It didn't kill even once. And you know what? It's probably, for even someone with a modicum of knowledge, really easy to create a chemical that kills. If it can make you hack up, almost get burned up eyes, it should be enough. You could probably kill someone. You could make chlorine. Plus, you got to remember, like Chris was saying, it's after the Great One. In
Right.
1914 to 1918 was World War I. Somebody with knowledge of that shit is bound to
I
be
have
around.
problems thinking that it's not connected to somebody who had something to do with the war.
Right.
In
That's one of
some-
the main theories.
Like, I
Right.
mean, it just seems like it's. I mean, you might say it's too on the nose, but it fits.
Oh, I didn't say it's too on the nose.
No,
at
I mean,
all.
to some people
No,
might think like, oh, is it really? But I'm like, well,
And if they knew
it
about-
happened. It fucked people up.
Right.
Gassing was a fucking thing.
And if they knew about
If they,
chemical
maybe
warfare,
they were
they would have
disgruntled,
the,
they got back, and they were like, fuck this place. I mean, who knows? Maybe, I don't know if there's any kind of military, anything near this place. Or it's just going back to their hometown. Maybe they were fucking whatever, ostracized. I have no idea. Just
Right.
throwing that shit out there, but I feel like it has to do with it. It just
If
has to.
anyone during the time would have knowledge of chemical warfare, it would be a soldier.
or a scientist that worked on it.
Or a scientist, true.
So, yeah, to go the disgruntled route, somebody that was done wrong during the war, disfigured, their lungs were burned out by mustard gas or whatnot, and then they somehow transferred that to a blame on America. They're not blaming the enemies. They're blaming America for forcing them to go into this situation, and they're going to take it out on America. Though why one particular county in Virginia, I have no fucking idea. Then that is certainly, it's a theory. All right, so we're basically playing 1933 cops. And if that's a theory somebody throws out there, like Chris, Detective Carno just threw that out
Well,
there,
yeah,
I would be like,
right.
it's a theory that we have to entertain.
Yeah, totally.
For
we
sure.
are the worst detective agency ever. But yes, totally.
Right.
100%.
Of course we are. But
Yeah.
that's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is, so you've got, the disgruntled vet.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the government running rogue experiments. You got my personal favorite, the nefarious gas mask wearing Bonnie and Clyde.
Yep.
Who are doing it, I don't know, because they just get off on doping people. I don't fucking know.
It's
It's only my favorite because it would make the best early 70s exploitation film.
It
Right.
would.
Not because it's actually a good
I'm not
thing.
against the Bonnie and Clyde, but I still feel like it's connected. The war is connected to them. I feel like that's part of it somehow.
Absolutely.
The story. You know what I mean?
So I think we're all on the same page, is that we're gonna take aliens and demons and other interdimensional things off the table and just say that we think this is probably like a true crime thing.
I will not go that far.
Oh, okay.
What
All
I
right.
will say
Respect.
is that
Respect.
I agree with you that it's not probably
Okay,
paranormal.
okay, good.
But you can't deny the lack of footprints. Unless that guy literally dove into a
Okay.
snowbank
I mean,
and died,
right.
and his corpse thawed and a bear ate it and no one found it in the spring, how the fuck are there no prints leaving the barn?
That's 33. People weren't thorough.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
All
no,
right,
I
I'm
won't give you
blaming.
that.
I'm
Listen,
blaming the time. I'm blaming the time.
I will say that
no one cared in
police
33.
procedure was probably shitty
Right.
and not evolved and all of those things. But I won't say that in 33 people were better trackers than they are now. I believe.
I will give you that. I will give you that.
I'm not saying that makes it paranormal. I'm saying I won't take it completely off the table because the fuck. I can't explain that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't either. I mean, I know there's like wind and snow drifts that can
and you could probably
do it,
You know,
but-
I mean,
It's true. And the
just
snow
figure
and
out
the
a
wind
different way
might
to
have
get the fuck
blown
out of
behind
there.
the barn and not in
Yeah.
front of it. Sure.
Possibly.
Maybe. I'm not saying like this makes it paranormal. I'm saying this makes it that I can't completely take it off the table.
All right. Well, I mean,
But why would people fucking do this? What is the advantage of doing this?
I mean,
I have no idea. I have no idea. I mean, first, you have to try. Well, you don't have to try, but if you really want to get down to it, which are these all the same? Are three of them the same people?
Right.
There's a couple copycats in here? Is there? I mean,
You're right.
There's just because there could be a myriad. These all can be different, or they
Some of them are obviously misinterpretations. Some are paranoia.
Yeah.
Some are, coal fumes and a shitty exhaust. Some are well, one is definitely a hoax.
Right.
Perpetrated by, just idiot teens. And so, absolutely, to think that all of these are legitimate gas attacks is not feasible at all. And there is also the chance that none of them are legitimate gas attacks because, as we mentioned in the beginning, not one person saw somebody with tanks strapped to their back and a nozzle that was pushing through the hole in their window and a stream of vapor shooting out of it. No one saw that.
No one saw anything other than shapes and women's
Shapes,
footprints.
rattles,
Whether it's multiple shapes.
and breathing in mostly invisible gas, except for the Stanley case where it seemed to be a bit of
some
a
random
haze.
mumbles. Yeah.
Yeah. So this also might be purely and simply, as much as I'm loath to say it, a true case of mass hysteria, brought on by initial cases that are weird, and so somebody's trespassing, and it combines with your family getting nauseous, and all of a sudden you're like, oh fuck, man, maybe that dude did it, and then
Right.
somebody else feels nauseous, and they're like, oh, I think I got gas too, and then it just spirals out of control. Till it just literally becomes a phenomenon that is a non-starter in reality.
Yeah.
And being located in the same area, news would be traveling fast and people would be getting freaked
Oh,
out, which would
definitely.
definitely in 33 spark a fucking hysteria. 100%.
Totally.
It would spark a hysteria in fucking 2021.
Absolutely. Except they'd break it down so fast. They'd have people there with like chemical detection and fucking
Yeah,
things.
that's true,
Because
yeah.
the technology of the 21st century would instantly identify what it is if it's anything.
The local fire marshal will definitely.
Everyone's
figure
got
this out.
goddamn ring cameras and fuck
Yeah,
alls.
I do.
mean, there'd be nothing that would be left to chance.
I love
Yeah.
dude.
You
it's
could not
great.
be a mad gasser in
No.
fucking 2021.
No, I'm
No,
gonna
no.
see.
Good.
I'm gonna see you on my ring camera in a heartbeat, and then post you up on the neighbor's fucking app to
Oh,
be like, look at
shit.
this fucking gassing asshole in my fucking house. There you have it. Thank you all so very much for joining us, Cryptonaut Podcast. Ooh, there's a lot of things that we ask you guys to do, like follow us on the social medias, the Instas, the Twitters, and the Facebooks. Thank you to everybody over there doing that. The Facebook fan page, check that out. Thank you so very much to the mod admins. We appreciate you guys holding that down for us.
Totes, you guys are the bestest.
The Discord, which is available via the Patreon. That is patreon.com/Cryptonaut
For how much?
Podcast.
What high price does it cost to be involved in a community as great as that?
There is a $1, which will get you one bonus episode and access to the Discord. There's a $5 that will get you no more than 4 bonus audios and access to the Discord.
Oh my gosh.
Sure, check that out. Hellerspace.com. Get yourself them T-shirts. We've got some new designs coming up, as we talked about in the beginning of this episode. Be sure to be on the lookout for that. I believe that's everything. Oh, I mentioned a couple episodes ago that I was redesigning the webpage, cryptonautpodcast.com. I have most of it done. If you want to check that out, I'm working on
Yeah, it's
adding
boss.
some.
I love what you did with it.
I actually made some more adjustments to it. I'm trying to make it more mobile friendly and everything, and
Right
make sure
on.
like all the different links you can get to listen to us on too many platforms. I think actually we're available.
It's a lot of platforms.
There's a lot of ridiculous platforms out there that I've
Sure.
never even fucking heard of that have us. But thank you for carrying our show.
Of course.
We appreciate it. But yeah, we're working on that website and we're going to have some things happening there, so be sure to check that out. And yeah, I think that's going to do it.
I got two things I want to say.
Sure.
The first being, for anyone interested, because I just brought it up, that weird one-off Florida thing, that happened on November 8th, 1935 in Lake County, Florida. And a lot of people think that that was a criminal enterprise. This gasser
Oh, okay.
was basically it seemingly just knocking people out to steal their shit.
Oh, okay.
Oh, all right.
with,
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, a
Good
villainous
poster.
character with a knockout gun. There's the first one. The second one is when we were thanking the listener. Oh, now I'm going to kick myself for forgetting the name, but who sent the Alien Animals book.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yep.
Which I was very grateful for. I said it had that awesome puppety Loch Ness on the cover with the pink mouth.
Yes.
I erroneously credited it to, I think, John Searle. I believe the hoaxer's name I was thinking about was Frank Searle, but either way, I was fucking wrong, and I'm kicking myself double for this because it was Doc Shields, the guy that brought the Owlman of Cornwall to the world.
Oh, goddamn
shit.
Doc
Or-
Shields,
or
son of a
Morwog,
bitch.
or whatever the fuck that
Doc
sea
Brown.
monster was.
Ah, Doc
So,
Brown. All right, fair
even
enough.
though I still think those photos are hoaxes, they're two of my absolute favorite
Cool.
Loch Ness photos, and I just feel like I had to disclaim that. So thank you.
Thank you so very
Perfect.
much, Robert, for that correction. Everybody appreciates that. And I'm talking to you soon.
Next week.
Next week.
That's it.
Yeah, next week. Next week we're going to bring you another likely hoax done by pedestrian people and or a group of individuals that thought they saw something but didn't. The Fun with Cryptonaut podcast. the rare, completely skeptical podcast,
There you
and
go.
we
There
fucking
it is.
delivered it.
Excellent.
Now next week's going to get weird as fuck again.
All right, excellent. There you have it. Thank y'all. I'm talking to you soon.